What is going on, you savages? Welcome to the show. I'm really excited about this one because this is something that I do and see and use constantly, and people are missing it. So we're going to dig into that in a second. But before that, you know the drill. TravisCrutcher.com. That's the spot. Check it out if you're interested in coaching, keynotes, workshops, etc., etc. You want to learn more about this podcast, the other podcast. You want to learn how to podcast yourself. All that and more, right? You can go there. There's free resources. There's a blog that I add to occasionally. There's good stuff there. All the things. So please check that out. Also, follow me on social. Follow me? Yeah, that's right. Follow me on social, damn it. I'm in all the places. Probably most active on Facebook, so check me out there. And if you do follow me, do me a solid. Please don't be a dick about it. I'm going to now shut up so I can thereby talk some more.
Welcome to Not Sorry with Travis Crutcher, the show where Travis will say some things that might trigger you, offend you, make you laugh, or even motivate you. So, if you're not easily offended, stick around and enjoy. On the other hand, if you are easily offended, listen anyway. Then go tell everyone how triggered you were. Either way, you can be certain of one thing. Travis is not sorry.
Okay, here we go. I'm stoked. Like I said, I'm fired about this one because people miss this, man. So let's talk about the missing piece in most people's problem-solving process. Root cause analysis. And look, the folks I work with get tired of me asking why over and over again, but that is exactly how this works. So you can't get bogged down with all the superficial bullshit. You can't waste time on those ankle biter problems that keep coming back. You have to dig deep to get to the actual root cause if you want lasting change. Look, man, most people run around putting Band-Aids on symptoms while the real bleeding keeps happening underneath. So we're going to fix that, at least attempt to fix that or empower you to do that. The first thing we're going to talk about, surface problem trap. Here's what I see everywhere. People fixing the wrong problem, right? My team isn't motivated, so they throw money at it with bonuses and incentives. Doesn't work, dude. My marriage is struggling, right? So what do? They plan this big vacation thinking that'll fix everything. Or my favorite, my kids won't listen, so they get stricter with punishment. These are all surface level solutions to deeper problems. True story, working with a reader recently who was frustrated that his team wasn't taking initiative. His solution was more meetings about taking initiative, more emails about being proactive, more reminders about ownership. So I asked, why? Why aren't they taking initiative? Well, because they wait for me to tell them what to do. Okay, why do they wait for you to tell them what to do? Because they're afraid of making mistakes. Great. Why are they afraid of making mistakes? Because when they do make mistakes, I get frustrated and fix it myself. Fucking boom. There's your root cause. It's not they lack initiative. Is that they're being trained to not take initiative by punishing mistakes. See, the surface problem was lack of initiative, right? But the root cause was fear of failure. And that's created sometimes by leadership responses to mistakes. You can't fix the surface problem without addressing the root cause. So I use the why method. I'm going to teach it to you. It's fucking amazing and it drives people crazy, but it gets results, okay? The 5 whys. You keep asking why until you get to the real issue. Here's how it works. Problem. I'm always stressed at work. Why? I have too much to do. Why do you have too much to do? Because I can't say no to requests. Why can't you say no? Because I don't want to disappoint people. Why don't you want to disappoint people? Because I need everyone to like me. Why do you need everyone to like you? Because I don't feel valuable unless I'm needed. Boom, man. You see what happened? We went from a too much work to a self-worth issue. And that's the root cause. See, you can't fix stress by working faster. You have to address the underlying need for approval that's driving the inability to set those boundaries, right? Here's another example. Problem. My spouse and I fight all the time. Why? Here's a common one, right? Because we disagree about money. Why do you disagree about money? Because we have different spending priorities. Why do you have different priorities? Because we never talked about our financial goals. Okay. Why didn't you talk about your financial goals? Because we avoid difficult conversations. Why would you avoid difficult conversations? Because we're both afraid of conflict. Boom. Okay? The surface problem is money fights. The root cause is conflict avoidance. You can't fix the money issue without learning how to have difficult conversations. And that one's very common, right? So what are some common root causes? There's some categories, right? I'm telling you, after 20 years of coaching and counseling, I've noticed that most problems fall into a few root cause categories. Number 1, fear-based decisions, right? Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of judgment. Most surface problems trace back to some kind of fear-driving behavior. Category 2, unclear expectations. People don't know what success looks like, right? Standards are not communicated. They're different. Boundaries aren't set. Goals aren't identified. That's a huge issue. Category number 3, system problems, okay? Processes that don't work, structures that create problems, incentives that reward the wrong behavior, communication breakdowns. You've seen all these, right? Category 4, skill gaps. Super fixable, right? But people don't know how to do what's expected because training's missing, tools aren't available, support isn't provided. And category 5, value misalignment, man. What people say versus what they actually prioritize. Personal values versus organizational values, short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. When you understand these categories, you can dig faster to the real issues, okay? So let's talk about how this applies to leadership, because this is where root cause analysis can 100% transform your effectiveness as a leader. So let's talk through one, right? Surface problem. My team doesn't communicate well. We do some root cause analysis, right? Why don't they communicate well? Because they don't share information. Super. Heard that a million times. Why don't they share information? Because they work in silos. How many times have you heard that? Okay, cool. Why do they work in silos? Because they're competing with each other. Fucking fabulous. Why are they competing? Because our performance metrics pit them against each other. Holy shit. The root cause isn't communication skills. It's a flawed performance system, right? Let's do one more. Employee turnover is too high. Holy shit, that is across the board, right? So let's do the root cause analysis. Why are people leaving? Because they're not engaged. Okay, why aren't they engaged? Because they don't feel valued. If I heard these before, maybe a time or two. Why don't they feel valued? Because their contributions aren't recognized. Why aren't their contributions recognized? Because managers are too busy to notice good work. Why the fuck are your managers too busy to notice good work? Because they're doing work that should be delegated. Holy shit. I cannot tell you how often I hear that. The root cause isn't employee engagement programs. It's manager workload and delegation skills. See, most leadership problems aren't leadership problems. They're systems problems or communication problems or alignment problems that show up as leadership challenges. And I see this with every organization I work with. So how do we actually implement this in your life and work, right? So the first thing we got to do is stop stopping at superficial solutions. When you identify a problem, resist the urge to jump to quick fixes. Ask yourself, is this a real problem or just a symptom? Second, use those 5 whys, man. Keep asking why until you get to something you can actually control and change, okay? Don't stop at the first or the second why. Keep digging. Third, look for patterns, okay? If the same problems keep coming up, you're probably not addressing the root cause. So what's the common thread in the recurrence issue? Because that's not a one and done thing, right? Fourth, focus on systems, not people. Most problems are system problems, not people problems. So before you blame individuals, look in the environment they're operating in. Fifth, big important one, test your root cause. Once you think you found it, ask, if I fix this, will it prevent the surface problems from recurring? If the answer is no, keep digging. The goal isn't to find someone to blame here, okay? It's to find the real issue so you can fix it permanently. Look, here's the bottom line. Stop fixing the symptoms. Start fixing the root cause. Stop putting Band-Aids on problems. Start eliminating the source. Stop getting frustrated when the same issues keep coming back, because that's because we're not digging deep enough. Start digging deeper. Yes, root cause analysis takes more time up front. Yes, it requires asking uncomfortable questions. Yes, it means dealing with deeper, more complex issues, but it is the only way to create lasting change, because you can't solve problems you don't understand. And you can't understand problems if you only look at the surface, okay? Start asking why. Keep asking why. Don't stop until you get to the real issue. That is how you solve problems permanently instead of temporarily. Cool? I know it's a lot. I know it was a fire hose, man, but do me a favor. If this hits home or you know someone needs to hear it, please share it, because I cannot tell you in a calendar week how often I have to talk through this process with someone. It is a missing piece in your problem solving, I'm telling you. So please, if you need to listen to this 3 or 4 times, go for it, all right? It only gives me credit for one anyway. But go for it and start to inculcate this in how you're doing life, period. And I promise you, you're going to start to get into some real solutions instead of all that superficial shit. Cool? Anyway, hope you dug it. Hope you took something away from it. And I will talk to you next time. Later.